and gentlemen, welcome to this. It's another episode of your favourite series and of course mine. It's 10 years ago. Tonight we're going to be looking at TNA Lockdown 2005. You probably sussed that out by the title. It's April the 25th, 2005, and we are live at the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida, with the usual 800 comps on hand for a pay-per-view with a twist. And it's a big fuck-off twist, as head booker Dusty Rhodes has clearly gone insane, and he's decided to book a whole show of stipulation matches. And then if that's not enough, all those stipulation matches need to be inside a steel cage. So we have lots of matches tonight with 2 stipulations on them. Huzzah! Because we love stips, as you know. Should we get on with this one? Wait! Oh, Mark, how can you even begin? Kevin Nash is meant to be wrestling tonight in the Lethal Lockdown match. It's Team Nash versus Team Jarrett. But no, you see, Kevin Nash has a staph infection. He's kind enough to show us this staph infection where he peels a plaster off his leg. Look, there it is. It's like, really? What am I actually looking at here? But it means we don't have to see Kevin Nash wrestle tonight. So huzzah again! He will be replaced by a mystery partner later on. Can we get on with it now? Oh, hell yeah. So, our opening contest tonight was Apolo and Sonny Siaki defeating Lance Hoyt and Chris Candido in a poor steel cage match. Hey. So, the match is meant to be Hoyt versus Apolo, and, well, no, it isn't. It's a tag match, as you can probably tell. Hoyt's regular partner was Kid Cash, but Kid Cash has got himself fired for bad-mouthing the company for months. I remember reading an interview in Power Slam with Kid Cash at this time, because, you know, where he ran down TNA something fish. It's like reading it going, you're going to get fired for this. And yeah, predictably not long after he was. So instead of Kid Cash, Chris Candido gets the nod. Unfortunately, Siaki botches a dropkick within a minute. He comes down, it's not the actual dropkick that's botched, it's the landing. He comes down with all his body weight on Chris Candido's leg, shattering his ankle. Now, so you know straight away that something's wrong. But the flip side of this one is that Mike Tenay on commentary tells us that Chris Candido has been faking injuries for a while. So you sat honest to God going, so is this real or not? But of course, hindsight being the motherfucker that it is, we know that it is a legitimate injury. So he's helped out of the cage. It becomes a handicap match. Hoyt gets a couple of good moves in. He gets a fall-away slam into the cage, for example, that's very nasty. But he gets German suplex off the top by Siaki. He hits a super kick from Apollo as Mike Tenay informs us that Chris Candido has broken his leg. Apollo gets a TKO, Siaki gets a splash off the top. It gets the win at 6:58. Unfortunately, guys, this is nothing special and it's only memorable for being for the absolute wrong reason, which of course is it's Chris Candido's last ever match, because Chris Candido suffered a broken fibula and tibia in his leg. He had to go undergo surgery the next day. He had pins put in and all sorts. Unfortunately, 3 days after that, a blood clot would kill Chris Candido. Unfortunately, it seems a very, very sad thing that a man who had struggled with addiction and drug problems and all that jazz all of his life, who was finally clean, was killed in a freak accident. It seems very unfair, doesn't it? In the back, Dusty Rhodes and his bitches pick the first 2 guys who will be in the Lethal Lockdown match. They'll be Jeff Jarrett and Sean Waltman. Whoop-de-doo! How's that sound? Dustin Rhodes defeating Bobby Roode in a poor, goddamn Prince of Darkness match. A what, I hear you cry? Well, of course, we've got a cage match, obviously, but that's just not enough. This is a 2 out of 3 falls match. We'll talk about why it's called a Prince of Darkness match in a moment. Roode gets a roll-up within the first 30 seconds of this one. It looks atrocious. The commentators both think it's a 2. I think it's a 2. And the camera angle is so tight that you're going, I don't know what's just happened, but apparently he gets a roll-up with a 3. We get a little bit of interested because Dustin starts to work the back of Bobby Roode to the point where Bobby Roode goes for a power drive, a ghost lift, Dustin up, oh, the back's gone. So it's like, oh, wow. So that holds my interest briefly until Bobby Roode stops selling it. An interesting little point in this one is that Scott D'Amore starts to argue with Dom West and Mike Tenay on the outside. And after he's gone, Dom West makes a point of saying that Scott D'Amore has terrible breath that smells like Canadian bacon. Now, I'm no expert in the field of bacon at the best of times, but bacon is a pretty damn fantastic smell, isn't it? Now, I'm guessing that Canadian bacon tastes a little bit different to the bacon that we have over here in Europe, but there's not a bad smell, is the point I'm trying to make. If his breath smells of bacon, I can think of worse things for breath to smell like. Anyway, that's enough stalling and not talking about the match. Bulldog evens the score at 1-1, right? And then the last fall, if it was needed, right? Because the Prince of Darkness match is very well named, because at this point they revealed, I need to point out, at the start of this match, the reason that I've said it's a 2 out of 3 falls match is because that's what Tenay said, alright? So I've based my knowledge on this match, because I've never seen this pay-per-view before, on what Tenay says. And it's only at this point, when both falls have gone down, that they announce that the Prince of Darkness match, its third fall, if it's needed, is a blindfold match. Yes! That's what we need, alright? So, it's just like any other blindfold match, e.g. it's fucking shit, and they stagger around, and yada yada yada. There's nothing original here at all. The referee gets bumped, so Scott D'Amore can throw a chair in, he unlocks the cage door so he can get inside, and naturally Roode clobbers him with the chair, tries to pin him, realises who it is, but then Rhodes gets the chair, and uses it and gets the 3, which is lovely at 15 minutes, 42 seconds. Way too long, way too boring, way too overbooked. We will happily go with the one, well, we want to go half the star maybe. I don't know. If you go 1 star, you're quite a nice soul, is what I'll say. Because they did a bit of storytelling in the early going, and then they ignored it, as is always the case, it seems. So you just go, meh, don't care. In the back, Shane Douglas talks to Christopher Daniels, who tells us that the X Division Championship that he holds is more important to him than Triple X ever was. And he's interrupted by Primetime, who's vexed about that. Next, Shocker defeating Chris Sabin, Sonjay, Dutt, and Matt Bentley in a good escape match. Because a normal cage match isn't good enough, so we've got to put some stupid rules on it. So this one is an elimination match. First 2 eliminations can only occur via pinfall or submission, and then when it goes down to 2 men, it's escape from the cage only. Because of reasons. Alright, so bring on the spots, I've got written on my notes, or not, because believe it or not, Dutt and Sabin start us off, and it's all lovely chain wrestling. I know that was quite difficult to believe. What's even more difficult to believe is that it gets a TNA chant. TNA! Hang on, they're doing chain wrestling. TNA! First one of the night. Not complaints about that at all. Sabin hits a stunning move as he flips Dutt over, right, so that Dutt comes down onto Bentley, and while Dutt's in midair, he does a leg drop as well, so they come down at the same time. Fucking great, really like that. Dutt is launched into the cage and begins to bleed from the elbow, which, I mean, all night the commentators have been telling us how dangerous the cage is, how bad it is, how much tighter it is, because it's a 6-sided cage, it's really flush against the ring, it's really tight. So it's one of those, oh, maybe they're actually right. Or maybe it's just a lucky coincidence, I don't know. Bentley is an evil fucker, so he puts on a chin lock. He follows by ramming Sabin into the cage various times. What a dick. Sabin agrees and comes back with a sweet springboard DDT. Shocker in. He gets 2 off a springboard moonsault, and then the same off La Maestro. They do a crazy 4-way submission spot where one guy, I can't remember the guys to be honest, but one guy is in like a headlock over the ropes, and then while his legs are wide open, another guy comes crawling through in between his legs, and then I remember it's definitely Sabin, puts on a Boston Crab. So there's 2 submission moves going on at the same time. Second TNA chant. Very weird, that one. It didn't look too. It was meant to, I guess it was meant to be that there's this big submission move going on, but there was 2 and 2, so it didn't quite look as good as I thought it would do. Sabin powerbombs Dutt into the cage because he's a twat, and then turns around and gets a running powerbomb. But Shocker breaks the cover, hits a TKO for 2. Then Sonjay Dutt gets a sweet 450 splash for 2, but he's rammed into the cage and super kicked, and if that's not enough, Shocker then hits a spinning elbow to eliminate Sonjay Dutt at 10:55. Shocker gets a gutbuster on Bentley. He climbs, but Sabin hits a Spanish fly for 2. Fucking dope. Bentley and Sabin go up top, but then Trinity comes out. She climbs up the cage. Tracy comes out to stop her. They've been feuding recently on the pay-per-views that I've watched, but tonight we're, mates again with Dusty Rhodes, so I'm not really sure what's happening there. Anyway, Tracy falls off the cage. Trinity carries on climbing up the cage and hits a fucking enormous moonsault off the top of the cage onto the 3 remaining guys. It looks fucking brilliant until you see the replay from the hard camera camera where she almost overshot the 3 guys and it didn't look quite as good. Cradle shock on Bentley eliminates him at 14 minutes, so you have to escape to win. Sabin and Shocker are the 2 remaining. They both climb, they both get crotched, they both climb again, and then they do something that just really bothers me. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Fuck's sake. You say other people would edit them out. I don't know what actually happened there. Yeah. They both get over the top of the cage and they start brawling, which you just sat there going, why are you doing this? If this match, I assume it's a number 1 contender match, it doesn't actually say for the X Division Championship, right? But then, if it means so much, don't sit there battering the other guy. You're hanging off sort of thing and battering him. Just drop off. And I think after a while, Shocker goes, oh yeah, that's what I need to do, and just drops off. It's not like it's a close thing between Shocker and Sabin. There's a good meter between the 2 of them. You know, as they both, as Shocker lands. I think when Shocker lands, Sabin hasn't even jumped off yet. So it's just one of those, spoiled it. It was a decent match, right? Decent crowd, decent length, really good spots, really innovative stuff and all that. But I hated that finish. Did not like that one bit. I'm so sorry. We'll have a pause there. Fuck's sake. So, our next match is... What? As soon as I click on and play again? Well, wouldn't be one of my bids if it wasn't an ambulance. Oh. Is it an ambulance? Who knows what it is? We can't see it. Right, excuse me. Jeff Hardy defeating Raven in a pretty poor tables match. Oh yes, because a cage match on its own just isn't enough, alright? This is now a tables match. This happened, if the video is to be believed, this match is happening, right, because Raven asked to team up with Jeff, and Jeff, the bastard, turned him down. So they're having a match. Why not? I turned to my missus before this one starts. She's just sat next to me playing something on a tablet or whatever. And I just say, I would bet this house that Jeff, right, comes off the top of the cage and does something through a table that misses. Just a thought, okay? So Jeff starts off with a whisper in the wind. Another misses, meaning that he hits cage. Raven takes control, hitting the even flow DDT, but then driving himself through a table when Jeff moves. Jeff hits a horrible leg drop with a chair, and then rams Raven's face into the cage a few times, busting him open. Raven comes back with a suplex, but as the idiot fans here, it's one of those, why would you even chant that? They chant, we want tables. In a tables match. And you're just going, you're gonna see some. Why are you chanting for that, you fucking berg? They go up top where Raven hits a Russian leg sweep into the cage. The actual move looks great as they're both slammed into the cage. But of course, once they've gone into the cage, where have they got to go? Well, they just go onto the mat and it looks absolutely shite. Jeff gets a twist of fate, sets up a table, puts Raven on it, and doesn't just go to the top rope. No. He goes up to the top of the cage and does a swanton bomb straight through the table, because of course Raven saw him coming, because it takes fucking ages to get to the top of the cage. Nasty landing as well. Fans show how much they care about their fallen hero by chanting, we want Raven, or let's go Raven, which are depending on which side of the building you're on. TNA, being TNA, show close-ups of these fans chanting, let's go Raven. A few weapon shots by Raven, but he hits his own drop toe hold onto a chair. For the second time in this match, Mike Tonelli tells us that we should hide the women and children. My missus, who doesn't give a fuck about wrestling in the slightest, says at this point, but I don't want to be hidden. And why should she? Why would I hide the children? Why not just, make them go in another room? Why do I have to hide them away? Where should I hide them? Behind the sofa? In the closet? Oh, anyway. Jeff climbs again, but gets crotched on the cage door. It turns out he climbed because he wanted to go for one of those special off the top of the cage nothings that he likes to do. He lands on Raven's legs and the crowd boos them for it. Good work, crowd. Raven sets up some tables, the ref helps him out. which surely isn't fair in the slightest. How is it fair that the referee is helping out one of the competitors? I just don't know. But anyway, they both climb again, and they've got these 4 tables set up, so you're wondering what's going to happen. Raven ends up on one of the top of the tables, and Jeff Hardy just goes up to the top rope and does a leg drop through the tables, and that's good enough for the win at 14 minutes and 2 seconds. Or about as good as Jeff's match with Abyss earlier on this year. You know, the one where he did the Swanton off the top of the entrance. I forget what it is because I don't give a damn flying fuck about TNA or Jeff Hardy. But yeah, the one where he did the Swanton off the top of the stage through the table. It was about as good as that match. I'm going to go 1 star. It's pretty shit. There's nothing stands out as special. No rhyme or reason for the spots. And you know, I already don't care about the match going into it because the reason that they're having the match is fucking awful. Go 1 star if you're really, really, really nice. I'm not. Well, I might be. Look down below and you'll see what I thought. America's Most Wanted defeating Eric Young and Petey Williams in a decent strap match. A strap match inside a cage, why not? It's not a strap match like the tied to each other strap match. It's a match where straps are legal, but it's a cage match where any weapon's illegal. So, not really sure. I just don't know. It's one of those. So, Eric Young tries to bail. Gets caught at the top of the cage and wishboned, which is funny. A1 comes out and hits Harris with a title belt. West says it's wrong that he's out there, despite it being a cage match. The point I've just made still really does stand. They lock the cage with Harris on the outside, so it's beat time for Storm, who's busted open. He's hit with his straps. He's hit with he's choked with a flag, and all the while A1 keeps Harris on the outside. This is a nice little storyline touch that I do genuinely like. He's busted open as well as Harris. Harris eventually whips A1 into the barrier and tries to climb. But Young, this is a really good little spot, I think. Young spots that Harris is climbing the cage. So he basically dives into the cage using his shoulder as a sort of batter him. And bam! Harris gets knocked off so he can't get up anymore. It's brilliant. Storm gets powerbomb on Petey, but the normal game catch up with him. See, it's Tornado DDT by Williams, where Williams runs round the cage before he hits the Tornado DDT. Fucking great. Harris eventually gets into the cage. He hits a double lariat, then unloads with a strap. He gets a full Nelson slam and a spinebuster, and then a great slingshot suplex for 2. I think that's moving, isn't it? Stop moving. Petey gets a sharpshooter on Storm. Eric hits an elbow while Storm's in the move. The Destroyer is countered by a huge spear by Harris that gets 2. Storm gets a great super kick. America's Most Wanted want the death sentence, but Petey stops it. So they bring in Powder. That backfires. Please, I've got a line ahead of myself there, where Petey uses a hockey stick supplied by A1. The cover only gets 2 to no reaction. That doesn't work, so they try Powder. Hey, you got there in the end. The Powder is obviously brought into Petey's eyes, obviously by heel miscommunication. So he hits the Destroyer on Eric Young when he goes to pin. He realises what he's done, but he's wide open for the death sentence that gets the win for America's Most Wanted at 15-10. I like the storytelling. I like the fact that, you know, for the most part, it was a generic tag team, but tag team match. Yeah, the storytelling of Harris being on the outside was different. You don't see that one very often. I like that one, believe it or not. Just didn't see the point of the straps being. Why was this a strap match? It's part of a storyline. I get it. They demanded that it was a strap match, but it's not a strap match. And once again, I'm going to bring that point home where it's a cage match, so any weapon's illegal. I mean, we all know this. So why you could have just brought the straps down to the ring with you and got on with it, you know? Anyway, next. Christopher Daniels defeating Primetime in a good match to retain the X Division Championship. Good, this was fucking great. Triple X explodes! It's good to see that A-Lix Skipper has ditched his given name and is now called Primetime. This one makes me smile a great deal more than it probably should. How does that sound? Beautiful chain wrestling to start us off as they trade counters. Think about it, these two former tag team partners, they know each other inside out, so every single move that they should try in the opening minute should be countered by the other. It's fucking wonderful. Daniels says he knows how to outthink Primetime, so Primetime responds in the only way that he knows how and whacks Daniels as hard as he can on the face. I laughed my ass off at that, I'm not ashamed to say. Anyway, Primetime shows again why he knows Daniels is going to do by countering everything he does, and then hits both a butterfly suplex and a gut wrench suplex, and then he follows with a back suplex and a leg drop off the top that gets 2. Daniels comes back by ramming Primetime shoulder first into the cage. Daniels is a dick, so starts to work on the shoulder and arm. He whacks it, he arm drags it, he stands on the damn arm. That's just mean, isn't it? What a tool. Primetime, who is called Elite Skipper by Don West, which confuses the fuck out of me, sells the move nicely. Cross arm breaker continues the pressure on the arm. When Primetime escapes, Daniels hits a slam. Daniels stays on the arm, throwing a few kicks ahead in just because he's a dick, as we've established. Primetime gets a slam. Can I just say, I'm saying this, his name's Primetime, because in the match graphic, his name was Primetime. It wasn't Primetime, Elite Skipper, just Primetime, so that's his name. Primetime gets a slam, a few clotheslines and kicks to come back. He gets a massive guillotine leg drop that lands right on the face of Daniels. He wants a back crapper but makes the mistake. This is so good. I'm using the left arm to try and do it, and Daniels easily counters it because the left arm is utterly fucked, remember? Fucking great. Daniels gets a rock bottom and the best moonsault ever for 2. He climbs to the top of the cage. Primetime follows him up, and everyone's thinking, oh, I know what's coming here. That rope walk thing that he does across the top of the cage in the Hurricane Rana. Daniels also knows this is coming, so climbs back down again. So Primetime does a dive off the top of the cage, but off the top of the rope, I think it was actually. He lands on the back of Daniels. It doesn't look as pretty as I'm sure they were hoping for. Gets a TNA chant though, so that's all good, isn't it? The cover gets 2. Primetime tries a tilt-a-whirl, but the left arm gives out. Fucking bonus. Enabling Daniels to get into the Guri and attempt the Angel's Wings. It's countered into a sudden death attempt, but the arm won't let him, and the Angel Wings gets the win for Daniels at 15:32. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you'll know that I fucking adored this match. It was absolutely fucking flawless. It was the only botch in it was that one dive to the side. I've got a feeling that was meant to be because the referee was helping Daniels up, and I've got a feeling they were meant to do the dive onto the pair of them because like the referee was way too far away, so he just ended up with the Daniels instead. But yeah, decent length. Crowd was fantastic for it. All the work on the arm was fantastic and played into the finish. Fan-pissing-tastic. If you wanted to go the whole hog, I wouldn't mind at all. I'm going to go 4.5 stars. Team Nash, which of course is DDP, Sean Waltman and Question Mark, versus defeating Team Jarrett, which of course is Team Jarrett. Why did I say that? Which of course is I'm such an idiot. Which is Jeff Jarrett, Monty Brown, and the Outlaw in a lethal lockdown match. So a lethal lockdown match is kind of like a War Games match, just not as good. 2 guys start. They have a 5-minute interval. I think that's what happens. And then a guy will come out for either the heel team or the face team until all 6 men are in the ring. Winner is by submission or pinfall. As Nash is injured, like I say, he will be replaced by a mystery partner. Now, in later years, there was a roof added to the lethal lockdown match. In this one, that's not the case. So, yeah. It's just a bit confusing because I'll explain why in a second. So, Waltman and Jeff Jarrett start, as we know, and we brawl on the outside, we brawl in the crowd, and interestingly, the graphic says 2 minutes, and then it changes to 5 minutes, and you start going, so which one is it? I'm just so confused. Brawling on the announce table, we finally go inside the ring with 90 seconds of the clock left, where Jeff is bounced off the cage, hit with a bin, and a Bronco buster misses. Out comes the Outlaw for the heels. Don West instantly calls him Kip James, so he's not the Outlaw, despite the fact it says the Outlaw on the graphic. Once again, sort it out, TNA. This is very confusing for people who haven't seen it before. So yeah, Kip James, according to the commentators. Waltman holds his own for a time, but the numbers game catches up, and he gets beats with a cookie sheet and a trash can lid. DDP evens the sides, but the clock says 2 minutes again, so I don't know if it's meant to be 5-minute intervals or 2-minute intervals. I'm going to guess that the opening one, like I say, was 5 minutes, then everyone after that was 2 minutes. How does that sound? Kendo stick shots for the heels, and they can't get, but DDP can't get the cutter on James, and Monty Brown completes Team Jarrett. I've done that one already, sorry. Weapon shots for the faces. Who evens the side for Team Nash? It's BG James! Don't give a fuck. Then, so there's 6 men in the ring, and it turns into a big mess. Loads of weapons, no sign of the roof that I was expecting to come down with all the weapons on it. Waltman denies us a chance to see the former New Age Outlaws go at it. Oh look, a referee gets bumped, didn't expect that at all. Various finishes go down, and it's descended into a sloppy mess, but a victory roll of all things by Waltman gets the win at 15 minutes and 40 seconds. Nothing gets good in this at all. Nothing, again, if you really, really are feeling a generous soul, give it 1, but you can't go higher than that. And in our main event, AJ Styles defeating Abyss in a great match to become the #1 contender to the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm very glad to see that this, my friends, is the main event. Winner against Jeff Jarrett next time out at Hard Justice. This was the first TNA match that I remember seeing. Genuinely, I don't recall seeing one before this, and then it was the three-way between Joe, Daniels and AJ that I remember seeing. This was the first ever one. I remember being a very good match, and when I announced on my Facebook page that I was watching this show, this is the one match people wanted to see. This and this and this and this. So let's see if it was any good. AJ comes out first. He shows his intent for this match by diving onto Abyss before he's even Abyss has got anywhere near the cage. He then Abyss tries to whip him into the guardrail. AJ slides underneath, baseball slides underneath the guardrail, jumps up onto the guardrail, springboards off it into a Rana. Fucking awesome sequence, absolutely incredible. He then goes into the crowd, jumps up onto the bleachers and dives across a load of fans onto Abyss. And you start going, this is fucking incredible. He goes to the well once too often, obviously. When he tries a third dive, Abyss is having none of it, and he starts battering him with the cage door. The second shot where AJ goes down so hard, it's quite nasty. And it busts AJ open, of course, as well, as it should, because it's a cage door being slammed into your face. Abyss looks for some toys and finds a bag of tacks, which is good. I haven't seen that before, honest. We finally get in the cage where Abyss sets up a chair in the corner. He wraps his chain around AJ's neck and then hits a big boot. He then wraps his chain around a turnbuckle pad and launches AJ headfirst into it. Then launches him headfirst into the cage, because he can. First cover of the match only gets 2. A deadly neck crank by Abyss, but AJ is able to get a sweet as fuck tornado DDT onto the chain, which I'm assuming had fallen off when AJ was rammed headfirst to it, so it just happens to be there, comes down headfirst onto the chain. Or I wasn't paying attention. It's one of the two. Causing the first TNA chant of the match, believe it or not, that tornado DDT, the first one, so the third of the night. The third. Only the third, and they've all made sense. Fucking love it. Well done, TNA fans. He follows with an enziguri. A head scissors and an attempt on a moonsault to the back. Abyss doesn't give a shit though, and AJ sort of just bounces off him when he does the moonsault. Either that or he didn't notice he was coming, one of the two. Abyss runs at AJ. AJ moves out of the way. Abyss goes into his own chair that he set up in the corner earlier on. Fucking well done. AJ follows with a fucking bridging German suplex. Did not see that one coming. It looked great. It gets 2. He wants a power driver, but runs into a chokeslam attempt that he turns into a victory roll for 2. A black hole slam gets 2 for... Oh, I've gone too far down again. A black hole slam. Sorry, I'm such a dick. A black hole slam gets 2 for Abyss. Out come the tacks. Abyss wants a black hole slam on the tacks, but AJ counters. He counters a powerbomb as well. What isn't countered, ladies and gentlemen, is a Styles Clash onto the tacks. It gets a holy shit chant from this crowd, and it only gets 2. And... there's a "this is awesome" chant, and I can't help thinking that they're probably right. Alright, so we'll let this one fucking slide, alright? How's that sound? Styles climbs to the top of the cage. Abyss panics. I don't know why, it's not an escape rules or anything, but he might jump onto me, so he gets the referee and launches him into the cage. That's fantastic. Really, really like that one. Come over here, get over there. Abyss climbs. He hangs AJ with the chain. He wants to chokeslam him off the top of the cage to the mat onto the tacks, but AJ Styles is able to counter into a sunset flip powerbomb onto the tacks that looks fucking wonderful and gets the win at 18 minutes dead. Just a brilliant match. It's absolutely superb, full of breathtaking stunts. Breath. I did say breast then, didn't I? Full of breathtaking stunts, great action, a shit-hot crowd, blood which helped, and all the usual good stuff. AJ really stepped up his game here, because this match is a number 1 contender. So think about it. He's going to be going against, basically he's showing that he can deal with all the dirty tricks or whatever that someone will, like Jeff Jarrett will do next month. He did him against Abyss here. And, he hung with him, kept up with him, and beat him at his own fucking game, in my opinion. Told a great story. And yeah. Main event prestige. If you want to go the whole hog, fucking do it. I won't mind in the slightest. Do I really need to say that this was one hell of an overbooked pay-per-view? Having 2 cage matches on a show has been shown in recent years with the Money in the Bank ones, the Hell in a Cell ones, all that jazz, right? Having 2 of the same match on a show is not good. So to have a whole show of the same match type is bad enough, right? But then to put stipulations on it, I can kind of understand if they want to break up the monotony of having steel cage matches. But if that's the case, don't have them all. If that's the case, not the cage. If that's the case, don't have them all as steel cage matches. Surely that's just common sense. This was overbooked to buggery, but, and it's such a massive but, 3 of the matches are 3 stars or above, one of them is 2.5 stars, so you start going with half the card. Half of this card is pretty damn fantastic. The problem, of course, is that the other half are 4 matches are 1 star or under, but none of them are duds, so that's saying something. I'm happy to go probably higher than I should do on this one, at 6.5 out of 10. If you want to push it up to 7, maybe even, I don't know, an 8, because those undercard ones are not great. I mean, the opener's not great for obvious reasons. Roode and Dusty Rhodes is 1 star. Jeff Hardy and Raven is 1 star. And the Lethal Lockdown match, in my opinion, is 1 star. They all let it down. But here's the thing, if you rated those matches higher than I did, you probably would rate this pay-per-view higher than I did. Alright, and ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode of 10 years ago. Obviously, next time we'll be heading back to the WWF and, is it Backlash? 2005. I've been Mark P. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you have. Leave me a comment down below what you thought of this show and this video. And follow me on Twitter. Check me out on Facebook. All the usual jazz. I'm sorry this vid's taken a long time. Like I say, this was take 2, believe it or not. So I've already done it once already today. I've been Mark P. Thank you so much for watching. Take it easy, and I'll see you all very soon. Take it easy, guys.